Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? It is Tuesday, July 2nd. JTW here with another FOMO live stream from your friends at Xtrades. All right, let me get things rolling over in our Discord real quick. Give me just a moment to do that and share my screen there as well. All right. Folks in Discord should be online now. YouTube feed up and running. Let's go. Say what's up in the chat if you guys have joined us. What's up, Alexandria? What's up, Unknown Reviews? Good to see you here as always. And with the ticker request bright and early with STZ. Is that Constellation Brands? God, it's sad if I know that. No, it can't be. Yeah, it is. Okay. Um, yeah. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you. Strife, good morning, brother. How are you? We can definitely take a look at Marathon for you, Ryan. Let me just peek over in the Discord chat real quick. No, I didn't want to do that. There we go. All right, and there we go. I can kind of maybe try to do two things at once here with uh, both the chats here side by side. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you, brother. All right, so let's dig in. Let's start talking about the markets. Let's talk about some trade reviews, and we'll get into some new trade plans this morning. As always, thank you guys so much for joining me. So let's talk about what we're seeing here on the market on this short week. Just a reminder, markets do close early on Wednesday. I believe it's 1 p.m. Markets close in observance of Independence Day, and then, of course, totally closed on Thursday, which also means no live stream on Thursday, but we'll pick right back up with the normal schedule next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so as we kind of get ready for this short week that we have coming up, looking at things from an ES perspective, things still kind of just going sideways, right? We talked about this last week, potentially being kind of a sideways, volatile, choppy week. We've seen a lot of that for the most part here over the last several trading days. Just kind of stuck in this range, um, bouncing back and forth there. And going back into last week as well, with a quick spike up to this supply zone that got promptly rejected and took us back down below this 55.41 level that we're kind of keeping on watch, and then dipping down into this demand zone below. 4 hour on ES right now looks fairly bullish still. We are seeing some signs of breaking down. We are trending below VWAP. Momentum has shifted near term to the bearish side, but overall, buying pressure is still there, and I like that this 55.02 level is holding. So again, we have an area of buyers down here that takes us all the way down below what down about 40, yeah, 54.75. Um, but preferably, I'd like to see this 54.95 area hold, this being the key buying pressure on Neptune. And we're currently dipping into that some and seeing some reaction already. Really does, I think, though, need to clear back above this 55.18 level before it can push higher. That'll also get us back over VWAP, which would be a bullish sign. Also to note here on the hourly, things are starting to shift to the downside. We did have a quick kind of move to the upside there, but that was pretty short-lived. Again, we talked about that getting rejected by that supply zone overhead. But the thing that I noticed this morning as I was kind of getting ready for the live stream is that we are dipping below. Not only have we dipped below, but now we're back testing and rejecting this 333 SMA here on the hourly, which I don't love that look. So we could potentially see this pull back a little bit lower. But again, short week, with it being sort of 2.5 days, then a break, and then 1 day of trading on Friday. It's also kind of a weird way that the week is broken up. So just keep all of that in mind. Could be a good week to just watch, kind of hone your skills, maybe paper trade a little bit, um, you know, educate yourself, maybe test some new things that you aren't going to put money into just yet, just to see how things play out a little bit. But again, it could be just a overall weird, choppy sideways price action week with the holiday break kind of splitting things almost, down the middle, if you will. So with that being said, let's get into our member selected tickers. These were shared in the options watch list on Sunday evening. I also posted these on X, aka Twitter. NVIDIA was the number one, the ticker that received the most votes, I should say. This one was a tough one. I wasn't able to really catch anything on this move personally. If you did and jumped in a little bit early, congratulations. Ultimately, it did give us a break below the put entry here at 122.96. Again, for me, that was just a little bit too steep of a pullback right after the open. I just don't like to chase these moves, especially when we're already down to PT1 almost within the first 10 minutes of the day. So generally speaking, I'm waiting for an early morning back test if we can get one that happens kind of quickly off that. Unfortunately, it did just continue down, got all the way to PT2, and from that point, buyers did step in and start pushing things back up. We did see it clear back over and consolidate a little bit above the put entry. So again, what was support flipped to resistance. You see a kind of a near test right there, but now flips back to support on this overall move back to the upside again. So once things kind of dip low enough, you can see buyers step in and continue to step in to try to push things higher. And I think that's exactly what we saw in this dip down to PT2 there. So this is pushed back up, consolidated between the stop loss average down and our put entry levels, and is trying to hold this put entry here going into pre-market. But if it does hold below 122.96 with these SMAs kind of shifting the way that they are, let's also just take a quick look at the 15-minute, make sure that we're not kind of getting ahead of ourselves too much or out over our skis too much. Yeah, I mean, I would say as long as we're holding below that 122.96, we could potentially see the downside of this trade plan play out again. So keep that on watch, and then just stick to the plan from there, right? 124.45 being your stop loss, and then price targets down below at 120.83, 119.36, and 118.26. Again, all that spelled out for you in the options watch list in the Xtrades Discord. And again, I like where this stop loss is setting up with this SMA confluence there overhead at 124.45. Also looking fairly bearish here on the 15-minute, seeing rejections of the key selling pressure so far, which is exactly what we would expect to see. So again, keep NVIDIA on watch for a potential replay of this downside of the plan. But again, personally, I did not catch any of this move yesterday. It was just a little too quick, a little too close to the open. And same thing with AMD here. AMD opened, dumped all the way down almost to PT3. On this one has since pulled back up, but is running back into that selling pressure here. Hasn't tried to really make a great attempt at flipping anything bullish just yet. However, I do like this as far as the indicators go. I do like it flipping this weekly level back to support though, which is somewhat bullish. So we saw a dip below. This is PT2, break below, back test rejected down almost to PT3, 153. We'll call it about 67. So that's a decent bit removed. Me, I strive for accuracy. I want to be, generally within 15, 20 cents of our targets, depending on the ticker and how volatile it can be. So that's a little bit too far removed, I would say, for me to be real happy with the PT3 hit on that one. But certainly, I'd say if you're taking profits early, great job. You probably timed the bottom. Broke back above this weekly level, though, like I said, back testing as support, and then we're seeing that support try to hold up still here pre-market. I do have these SMAs catching up overhead, though, on the 5-minute. Let's take a quick look at the 15. Again, yeah, I kind of expected to see things overall bearish here. 333 slipping back below the 200. So that's actually somewhat bullish, but it's happening in a weird way, that's for sure. So it will be interesting to see how this one kind of continues to play out. Generally when you get your shorter term moving average back above the longer term, that's overall bullish, but it's just kind of weird that it seems to have happened because the 333 is dipping harder than the 200 right now, which is just a little bit strange. Normally the 200 would be a little bit more reactive to the price action there. So that's kind of interesting to see. You don't see that often. Okay, so AMD again has played out to the downside. There is a confluence of selling pressure up here at 158.35 that could wind up being a good put re-entry. I would keep an eye on this 200 333 SMA combo. Call it 160 if you want to give yourself kind of a decent psychological number and a little bit of extra room there to potentially try to catch a rejection off that 158.35 and then just play down to your price targets. Potential opportunity to recycle this play, but again, I wasn't able to do anything with AMD because it just straight shot down through all our price targets, way too close to the open. And I just, again, don't like really chasing those types of setups. I want the trade to come to me ultimately, right? Did have a great setup though and a great play on Roku. Our friend Gizmo, one of the analysts in Xtrades, actually alerted this as I was typing up my alert. So I just let him run with the alert. Um, but overall, we saw a close above, nice dip below that got bought back up and continued to push higher than the close above on this candle here at the 6109 call entry. This plan was published again in our Xtrades Discord community Sunday evening as well as on X. So we got our entry, calls were good to go, shot right up within, essentially 6-7 minutes of opening the trade up to PT1, saw a little bit of a resistance test, and ultimately climbed over PT1, got to PT2, almost got us to PT3, 63.75, and just right within close to that 15-20 cent range of being a good hit on a $60 ticker, though I would want it to be a little bit closer than that, just being hypercritical of myself here. But ultimately got very close to PT3. As always, we suggest moving your stops up as these plays work out. So your stops, mental stops should have been up to 62.81 by the time we got up near PT3. So finish closing out your runners for profit there at that point. And then you could have recycled an entry as we got another dip back below and then another confirmed entry here. Those of you who are subscribed to and using Neptune for TradingView, perfect catch right there, right on the key in the key buying area. Golly, can I get my words out? Key buying pressure area, and then right at the key buying level, right there before things flip to the downside. Ultimately bounced out of that for another test of PT1, and has kind of just consolidated sideways for a little bit after that volatility yesterday. So keep this one on watch. It would be great if we saw another test around the 6109. I know here on the smaller time frames that looks like it would flip things bearish on Neptune, but 200 SMA is right there currently. And let's just check out the 15-minute. I have a feeling, yeah, Neptune's got some more room down to that level here on the 15 as well. Also, great catch combination, really, if you look at the 5-minute here from a Neptune perspective, right at the key buying pressure there on the 5-minute, and then right here on the key buying momentum on the 15-minute. So yeah, really nice confluence setup across a couple time frames there, and again continuing to consolidate sideways. All right, so last Thursday, I should say, we did a couple of trade plans live on the stream. One of those was play. I think this one was requested by my friend Navy Plum, I think, over in the Discord chat. What's up, Shinobi? Good morning. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you guys. Sorry, I'm just now chiming in on that stuff. Hard to see kind of all the chats at once between Discord and YouTube. So Navy Plum started asking about play Dave and Buster's, which they are, for what it's worth, working on this kind of some kind of a gambling essentially system where people will be able to bet on games at Dave and Buster's locations. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, kind of following the sports betting craze that continues to kind of push things like DraftKings up higher and higher. But Navy Plum looking for a real kind of bottom pick opportunity here after this one was way overextended to the downside and getting ready to test this key weekly level, which weirdly enough, I actually already had on the chart before we even went and looked at this. And I don't really, trade play that often. So, just kind of shows that if you've kind of got these levels out on your chart in advance, sometimes you just have to pull up the chart and it'll show you exactly what to do. So we talked about, as long as this 37.65 level holds, go ahead and buy the dip, get in early into the open, even though that's not something we would normally recommend, and certainly encourage folks to do that with shares. Uh, Test of the 15-minute 200 SMA, great spot to look to take profits as this stuff pulled back. Hopefully, I think I mentioned that. Um, Especially looking at here on the 15-minute, we were way overextended, so there was room to pull back up, but now we've kind of regressed to the mean a little bit. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Dave and Buster's decides to do from here. Ultimately, we like it as a buy, though, over 38.49. We do see another breakout of that level after testing it and rejecting briefly, is now pushed over, rejecting this 39.04 level. So, really you could look for something like if we got a test of the 39.04 resistance and the 200 SMA kind of as a confluence, if it's able to break through that, would be an interesting opportunity to potentially get in and look for this to push higher. Could also be a good spot to anticipate a rejection, though. So just keep an eye on it. And again, 39.04, 15-minute, 200 SMA. Keep those two things on watch as you look to maybe do something else with play after our last trade on it. But yeah, great recommendation by Navy Plum, and overall, our plan to just scoop shares right there at 37.65 worked out very nicely for an intraday trade um, on equities. And then last but not least, Nike. I'm sure this was an unknown reviews request because my homie loves these ER setup plays. This one, never broke to the upside looking at Nike. So never got to the bullish side of our trade plan above 95.28. Looking at the 15-minute here on NTS, it was fully bearish going into that earnings report, showing selling pressure there overhead. And not to say that NTS is in any way capable of predicting what an earnings report's going to do, but it certainly can kind of maybe give you a slight edge on that sort of stuff. But earnings reports are highly unpredictable, and I'm sure you all have heard me say dozens of times, I just stay the hell away from trading options on earnings reports. So ultimately, sliced through all supports and just continued down. Tried to hold this weekly level there at 82.35, but ultimately broke below that and has continued to melt down and now moving sideways, but right back in the selling pressure there. Still a little bit overextended from the SMAs. We did not chart Nike down this low, so I don't have levels to watch to know if this is really kind of a great spot to potentially try to buy the dip. Does look like an interesting back-to-back double bottom type of setup, though. If you look at these 2 days right here, we did see a little bit of a print below. That could be a little bit of a liquidity sweep. Really looking like the 74.64 could be a good bottom to watch. So if you wanted to maybe load some shares, as long as it's holding above that, if you're a big fan of Nike, I wouldn't begrudge you doing that down here. It could be a good value buy opportunity at this point. With that being said, let's get to some trade plans this morning. Those were our reviews. Let me check in with our chats here. What's up, everybody on YouTube? What's up, Hideout? Good morning. Looked like I was right about the SPY. Yep, I think you were absolutely right, Ryan. And SPY has continued to consolidate and have issues kind of really getting any true momentum or direction so far from what I've seen. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I have a feeling we might not see anything really making moves until next week with the weird, you know, schedule we have this week for the markets. All right, so unknown reviews came in with Constellation Brands. I got Marathon also on the list for my homie Ryan. So let's check these out. Again, fortunately, I already do have some levels here on Constellation Brands. I have traded it some many time ago, many moons ago. Let's just clean all this up real quick. I like to work with clean charts, especially if I haven't looked at them in a while. That looks pretty clean. All right. I think that got rid of all the extra elements there. So let's take a look at this. Weird. Did I pull up a weird chart or something? What's going on here? Just wondering why my indicators didn't load there. That's weird. That looks better. And that looks better. Trading view glitch. Okay. So let's take a look at just price action for a second here. This is not one that really trades during the extended hours session, so we'll just go to regular trading hours here. Take a look at this, try to figure out what we want to do with it. As always, I like to start sort of zoomed out and then we'll zoom in a little bit, starting with these higher time frames and then working our way into smaller time frames. I'm guessing earnings coming up Wednesday. So man, you would think Constellation Brands, which sells beer and stuff like that, would want their earnings report to be after Fourth of July. Although I guess people are probably buying up in anticipation of the Fourth of July. So anyway, interesting timing on their earnings report. All right, so let's take a look at this. Go back to the weekly. Sorry, I know I kind of digressed there for a moment. Yeah, it's interestingly just I don't have a lot of levels populated in this one range. I guess anytime I've been asked to chart this, it's either been way higher or way lower. But let's see. I'm just looking for any kind of maybe key trends that might be popping out. This is certainly far from confirmed, but interesting couple of strong rejections with big liquidity grabs overhead on both of those. So nothing to confirm there, but something I'll be interested to kind of keep on watch as we cycle through some of these time frames. We might see this confirm. We might see some double taps on like the daily or the 4 hour. So we'll keep an eye on that. Looks like there was a pretty clear uptrend that has since broken on the weekly. Could be a little bit of a megaphone almost pattern playing out. Eh, kinda. Not fantastic. Not the strongest trend in the world. I would like to see that a little cleaner, but it's pretty close. Again, we'll see how this starts to look as we scale into some smaller time frames here, but wasn't really seeing anything on the weekly as far as support and resistance that really jumped out at me there. So we're just going to move on to the daily time frame. Let's make some adjustments here. That does actually look like a pretty decent trend now here on the daily. This could also be a better one. Yep. Whoops. Here below. So yeah, definitely looking like a little bit of a descending megaphone pattern, but does also have an uptrend that looks to be forming right here. I'll keep that closely on watch as we put this plan together. All right, I think we're good on trends. Let's check our support and resistance levels real quick. Make sure we've got all those, which I don't claim to have them all on Constellation Brands because, again, not one I trade super often, but earnings coming up that could bring volume in. Also, again, interesting time of year for a company that sells beer and alcoholic beverages right around the 4th of July. What's up, Shinobi? Could you take a look at Target? Been stuck under 150. I have a fib on the daily at 165. Yeah, sure. We'll take a look at that. I'm sure I can fit it in for you, brother. Good to see you here and in Discord and everywhere. Your Shinobi is everywhere, like a true ninja. All right, let's check this 4 hour. That's an intriguing level. Could wind up being a PT3. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I enjoy doing them. If I didn't enjoy doing these, I wouldn't do them. But it's fun. I don't have a lot of um, I don't know what the right word is. I don't have a lot of desire to be kind of out there in front of people. But once I started doing these, I kind of you know got to enjoy it. So it's been fun to kind of share what I'm seeing and kind of do it in a little bit more of an interactive fashion than what we're able to do with just text and chart picks sometimes. All right. I think we're looking pretty good as far as levels. Let's check our indicators here. Let's dig into the hourly. That's where I really like to start digging into these plans. All right. 251. We're currently at 256. There's an interesting level here that I think we definitely make some good downside moves below it. The question is there an earlier entry? I think potentially below 254.47, in which case we could use that 251.56 as a first price target. Am I getting too far ahead of myself though? Sorry, I'm just thinking through this. Is just noticing this one bounce off that daily level that's just a little bit higher. Let's see. I'm trying to find us kind of the ideal entry without being too aggressive. Um, Although that would be a break of this little bit of an ascending trend line. I think that would be significant. My only concern with using this entry right here, this 200 SMA right below us. So keep that in mind. Could be a good one to build a starter position and then average up if we do get a confirmed break below the 200 SMA here on the hourly, in addition to breaking below 254.47. Stop loss. Yeah, I like right there at 257.33. I think that's also so another reason to probably start small on this one. If we're using 251.56 as our PT1, it looks like that's going to probably give us right on a 1-to-1. Yeah, literally right on a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio there. So generally, again, we want that risk reward edged in our favor. For it to be considered, in my opinion, a better setup. So this one, it's not a bad setup to the downside, but again, a few reasons to start small and maybe keep your overall position sizing small in this one and average up and scale in versus, kind of loading a full position size at the entry. So just some thoughts to keep in mind as this plan develops. So second price target, I hate to ignore a weekly level, but it just doesn't look like there's any confluences there. It wasn't all that significant on the move up. Um, Seeing a small flip of resistance to support there, but to me, it looks like really the next key level is actually just a little bit lower down here at 248.57. So that'll be our PT2. And below that, let me just so this indicators aren't in my way. Let's see exactly where these candles are hitting. Let's not be too greedy. Let's go for 246.88. I think that's the third and final price target for the downside. Upside trade plan. I'm interested by this 260.21 level. Again, just trying to see if there's potential earlier entries, so we have something a little more actionable, especially with the short week. Also with that being said, make sure that you buy more time than you think you're going to need on these contracts. Don't buy this week's expiration with a day and a half essentially getting taken away from you before you've even gotten into the trade. And we're also on Tuesday already, so really not many trading hours left in this week. Make sure you're buying a few weeks out. I'd say at least 2 to 3 weeks out, just to get through some of that, those potential doldrums, if you will. All right, so upside trade plan. Sorry, I keep debating on this one. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tighter plan as far as where our entry and stop loss are going to be. Also, a little bit of a tighter plan as far as where we are looking to take profits. Actually, I am going to shoot one level lower at 260.83. First price target. I was kind of coin toss between 260.83, 261.35. I don't think there's going to be a massive profit difference on the contracts there, so I say play slightly more conservative, secure those profits early and often. Second price target, weekly resistance at 262.69. Could test one level higher than that, but I like that where it is. And then overall 264.16, third price target. This one a little bit better on the risk reward side of things, but also Constellation Brands does seem to be leaning a bit bearish with some of the chart patterns and where the indicators are sitting. So keep that in mind as well. Overall, starting off though, 1.35 to 1 on that risk reward there. So pretty decent. All right, here's the plans. Let's talk through them real quick one last time. Let's see, this will be SEC live stream plan. So sharing this in the YouTube chat, feel free to save a copy of that image, copy those levels to your chart, be ready, set alerts on your charts on the correct levels, and be ready to execute the plan when the time comes. All right, so let's talk through this real quick. What are we looking for here on Constellation Brands? We're looking for a break above 258.76 to try to play this for upside. That should give us targets at 260.83, 262.69, and 264.16 with a stop loss average down at 257.33. To the downside, break below 254.47, we're playing short, or for more downside below that. From there, we're looking at targets at 251.56, 248.57, and 246.88 with a stop loss average down at 257.33. Again, remember to, I would say, keep both of your starting position sizes, regardless of if it's the upside trade plan or downside. Keep your starting position sizes small, scale into these trades. And then the other thing I would say is, again, make sure you buy plenty of time with this week being disrupted by the 4th of July holiday a little bit. All right, so let's get to the next one. Marathon for Ryan. Looks like it's actually playing through an old trade plan currently. Nice bounce off of Neptune there. Although I do want to see this on extended hours as well. Yeah, that's interesting. Flips there. All right, so let's zoom out. Let me get my bearings on this because it's been, gosh, doesn't feel like I looked at this recently. I say it's been a little while, but maybe it hasn't been as, oh, that was back in mid-June, so I guess it's been a few weeks. I didn't realize we're already in July, or forgot, I should say. All right, let's get this cleaned up a little bit. This just gets it done quicker. All right, there we go. So, definitely looks like a pretty solid bull flag forming here. With a slight downtrend that, yeah, if this breaks, could bring some interesting upside. Keep an eye on that. Let's zoom back here. I don't know when the last time was that I went through and kind of reviewed to see. Again, with support and resistance, generally it's pretty static, but sometimes buyers and sellers kind of slightly shift where those levels are. So sometimes you might see that happen over a long enough period of time. But generally speaking, again, I expect them to be fairly static. Yeah, I agree, Shinobi. I think it is getting ready for a run. think I've got a weekly level that's been shifted just a little bit here, which is probably going to wind up being our entry, possibly. Keep an eye on that. And let's check. Yeah, that's pretty close. It could play also. Yeah, just a little bit higher there as well. Yeah, it's looking good. Flip things bullish here on the weekly. Let's go to the 24-hour. Still some selling pressure, but plenty of room before we get into any key selling pressure. SMAs overall looking bullish. 200 getting ready to cross the 333 here for a bullish cross on the 4-hour. Things looking fully bullish here. Yeah, I think this looks primed to run. 2643, that's your target, huh? Okay, well, yeah. I've got a 2623 daily level. So let's see how this maps out. So far, yeah, I mean, I've kind of been eyeballing this the whole way through. I think it gives us a confirmed break out of this bull flag, also clears out a key resistance there at 2277 weekly level. Over that, why is my screen not scrolling? Scroll. Okay. Do this the old-fashioned way. Over that, yeah, could be, probably is going to be a nice pop. And again, this weekly level, probably just slightly lower. They're at 2468, first target. Second target, I think we're getting up where we are seeing the same thing here at 2623 with my homie Shinobi. Yeah, 2468 first target, 2623 second target, third target going to be up here. Could be just a tad higher, but we'll go ahead and shoot for 2774. Stop loss average down. How tight do we want to play this? I think Marathon, we got to give it some extra room to work out. I think there's still potential as long as this 2148 holds. I think that also leaves us good risk reward to the upside. Shinobi concurs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the crypto stuff tends to be a little more volatile, so I would want to give myself a little bit more room and trust the plan. And it's still a good risk reward. Let's check it real quick, but it looks like it's maybe about a 1.3 to 1.5, I would guess. 1.4, right in the middle. To the first price target, again, that's generally how I like to gauge the overall setup on the plan. Overall, though, if we hit all targets, we're looking at a 3.7 risk reward. So that's, again, good stuff there. All right. Downside. Yeah, I think I'd want to see these SMAs out of the way of support that would flip Neptune back to the bearish side. I think it also opens up room down to this weekly level at 1871. So we'll go for puts or downside below 1983. Stop loss for this side. Yeah, gonna need to be this 2066 level. First target 1871, weekly support. That might be all that we get on the downside. Whoops, wrong level. That might be all that we get on the downside for this one, but let's see. Let's get this out of the way. $21.79, Shinobi saying. I could see a potential earlier entry below 21. What is that? 2108. Yeah, you know what? I think there's an opportunity there. We're going to kind of have a little bit of a crossover on our stop loss average downs, which then we can flip what was going to be our put entry to our first price target. Thanks for kind of pointing this out, Shinobi. I think you're right. I think there is an earlier opportunity potentially on the downside here. Third price target. Hmm. An interesting little liquidity grab there. Not seeing a lot of other anything else really showing that one spot right there is going to be more than a one-time occurrence. So I'm going to shoot for this 1785 4-hour uh, level that we dipped a little bit below. We also came a little bit shy of it on the last bottom before it made a move higher. I mean, ultimately, I'm not expecting this downside plan to even really be a factor because this does look like a pretty bullish setup. I'm expecting it to break to the upside, but doesn't mean you know, we should phone it in on the downside plan either because we're leaning bullish, right? Don't let your bias get too much in the way. I guess what we're trying to say. So yeah, you're absolutely welcome, Unknown Reviews. Happy to do it. So let's talk through our marathon live stream plan here with some help from my homie Shinobi. Much appreciated, brother. All right. Let me post this over in the options watch list. All right. So, what are we looking for here on Marathon? We're looking for a break above 2277 for a big upside move to 2468 first price target, then on up to 2623 and finally 2774 with a stop loss average down at 2148, giving that upside trade plan plenty of room. If we're going to give it plenty of room, make sure you also give your contracts plenty of time. Downside, we're looking for a break below 2108 with a first target at 1983. Below that, we're looking at 1871 and then on down to 1785. That might be a little bit of a stretch, that third price target, so make sure you scale out heavy at 1871. In fact, wouldn't be a bad place to take all your profits if it does play out to the downside. Also, strong scale out at 1983 with this double confluence 200 and the 333 right there with PT one could be a big support confluence as well. So again, don't get too greedy on the downside on this one. But again, break below 2108 with those targets at 1980, 1871, and 1785 with a stop loss average down at 22. What's that? 22 flat? Yeah, 22 flat. All right. So those are your marathon trade plans. All right. Last but not least, Shinobi wanted to take a quick look at Target. Let's take a quick look at Target. Definitely got some existing support and resistance levels in here. Neptune coming up with an interesting confluence at 144.64. Right near that level, just below it from a Neptune perspective. Let's see. SMA still holding bearish here on the hourly. Zoom out a little bit real quick. Yeah, I got a bunch of noise on this chart at the moment. Let's clean some of this up real quick. I don't even think that's relevant anymore. I'm sure those aren't relevant. All right. That's better. Okay. So we do have some bearish momentum here at the moment, but 333 just below, actually giving some confluence right there at that 144.64 level. That looks like a really key level, actually. I'd say as long as that holds, you could see an upside bounce here Um, 165 if we get momentum. Yeah, I would say 144.64 holds though. I'd be looking at this 150.52 level for sure. I like this as long as it holds. Bottom right here. Over that, I think you're looking at 154.45. Right? No, actually, this could push higher. Well, we are on the weekly though. Hang on, let me take a look at this on the daily. Yeah, I think it can actually. Sorry, take that back. I think you're looking at 156.74 over that. And then I think we get up near probably Shinobi's target. That's somewhat interesting. Could be 163.04. I've got an existing level there that looks pretty good at 164.50. So yeah, getting pretty close to your target there. Stop loss on it, I'd probably keep fairly tight. No, I'd give it, well, let's see. Let me take a look at this on the 4 hour real quick. I don't know why my little scroll keyboard shortcut that I've mapped to my extra mouse buttons isn't working. Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn between 141.01 and 139.29. I think either of those would be good stops, just depending on how conservative you want to be or how much room you want to give it to work. But I'd say either of those would be good stop levels. And let's see what this looks like. And again, this is kind of a, as long as this holds, so we're already over the entry essentially. See, so you're looking at a little better than 1-to-1 if you use the more uh, the broader stop loss level. If you give it a little bit more room to work out, if you keep the more conservative level, 1.7 is a pretty attractive risk to reward. My only concern would be stopping out of something that's still got potential prematurely, especially looking at that bounce off that daily level there at 140, 114. So personally, I'd probably take the smaller risk reward, give the trade more room to work out. I don't want to get, again, artificially stopped out of the trade. Um, or just barely have held long enough essentially. Overall on the plan 3.8, and we'll just call this a upside only Shinobi special. How about that? Because they were 10 minutes from market open and I do need to go get to work on the daily spy plan that I will publish in the options watch list for our friends in Discord. Of course, Shinobi, thank you for your help today, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you joined us. So here is the target live stream upside plan. I hope you guys bank on this one. And let me get this posted over in Discord. All right. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. It has been a great way to spend some time with you guys here pre-market on a short trading week. Again, because the markets are closed on Thursday, there will be no live stream on this Thursday. But back to our regular Tuesday, Thursday schedule next week, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your boy JTW will be here putting together trade plans for you guys to go forth and execute on. So with that, I want to thank you guys for joining me again. As we always say here on these FOMO live streams, plan your trades and trade your plans. Go out there, execute, get some green. I will see you guys in the chat. Since we won't be back until next week, I want to wish everybody a safe and happy 4th of July holiday. Go out there, enjoy it, have some fun, but of course, be safe, stay out of trouble, so we can come back and make plenty of money next week, worry free. All right, you guys have a great day. I will see you guys soon. Take care.